Doing good. Ready to talk sports again. It's been a couple weeks, so happy to be here. Yeah, it's a secret vendetta, I guess. Apparently, so yeah, yeah, all good. So yeah, as far as I know.
Good day, everybody. This is Ryan from 20 Minutes on Ice. Join me and my co host Nick McVicker for opinions and analysis on the week that was in the hockey world. New episodes available every Tuesday, wherever you download your favorite podcasts from. 20 Minutes on Ice, part of the Garage Door Sports Network.
Hey guys, it's producer Jake here from Betting House, the Garage Door Sports Network's ultimate degenerate gambling podcast. Catch our episodes weekly on Apple, Spotify, and Google as we bring you banter, laughter, and of course picks for all sorts of games throughout the week. Give us a follow on our socials at Betting House Pod, where you can catch all our bets each week, as well as some bonus content. Remember to always gamble responsibly. Let's get rich.
All right, let's try this again. Now we seem to be having everything working. As I was saying earlier, my name is Nick McVicker. Welcome inside Garage Door Sports. Kyle, they heard you. They did not hear me. We are back. Let's get this going, my man, with our kickoff segment sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you everything they've learned over the years. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, check them out at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or visit them at Canada Kicking Academy on Instagram. Kyle, this week, big
Mhm.
things are happening in the NHL. We had the Stanley Cup champion. By the way, thoughts on that? Tampa winning, all the cap stuff. Any issues with that?
I mean, it's within the rules technically, so they learned how to use it and they learned how to abuse it, and they were the better team. So yes, it's doesn't look great, but is what it is.
Well, I mean that, and the fact that they tried to change it 5 years ago. They were one of the few clubs that wanted to change it 5 years ago so that this didn't happen.
Yep.
And then they basically said, "Well, you don't want to change it? Screw you. We're gonna do it."
Yeah, the only thing I don't like myself is the fact that they are then boasting about it during the Stanley Cup parade. It's like that's the one thing where it's like, okay, you did it, you won the Stanley Cup, let it go away. Don't make a friggin' T-shirt out of it and wear it during the Stanley Cup parade.
Fair enough. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the big thing coming up this week, and it's the expansion draft, dude.
Mhm.
Protected list dropped today. Officially, they will be announced tomorrow, but they will drop tonight to the NHL. What are you expecting from this? Are you seeing another NHL Vegas scenario here? Like, they're going to be really good right off the bat, or is this going to be a true expansion where they are probably going to struggle their first year or two?
I think it's going to be back to a true expansion, and that's purely because Seattle's asking for a lot in these trades. Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are struggling with cap and being complacent with that. And apparently, what all the rumors of people saying is that Seattle is asking for the sun in the sky basically in all these trades. Um, Kind of similar to what Vegas got, because Vegas got a lot of side deals going and that kind of stuff that got a lot of picks, got a lot of players traded to them. Say, hey, don't touch this guy.
And they ended
But
up
I
being
don't
players that played well.
exactly, and that's what I don't know if teams might be a little more hesitant now because of what happened with Vegas, right? So Vegas has been competitive since the day they walked into the NHL.
Yeah,
So I also think there's a lot less of high quality players available. I guess what you could say.
especially on the goaltending aspect, which we'll get into.
100%. there's some up and coming goaltenders who potentially could be good, but they haven't established themselves yet as a proven goaltender, right?
Right.
There's the news that the Ben Bishop that we were talking about before, of him waiving his no movement clause, but will he play again?
Yeah, we don't even know if he's ever going to play an NHL game again, period. Let alone for an expansion team next year. Like, there's so many questions.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's up in the air. I think they'll have an okay to good team depending on some moves. If there's some moves that happen in the next, I believe, couple days, because I think the freeze starts on the 20th. Is it? Or I think there's a trade freeze before the expansion draft. That's all I know.
Yeah,
But
I believe you're right.
not sure the exact date on it. But I mean, barring some miraculous trades in the next couple days, I guess, then I don't think they're going to compete nearly like Vegas did for sure. So
Actually, the trade tree starts today,
okay,
and it ends the 22nd.
yeah, the day after the draft.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Um, yeah, there's so many question marks going into this one that it's going to make it really hard. Like, who is actually going to be available? We've seen a couple players waive no trade, no movement clause. You mentioned Bishop. Weber also waived his. He's not. There's a very good chance he doesn't play next season because of all those injuries. And by the way, can we give this guy an insane amount of credit for what he was able to do in the playoffs with like injuries up and down his body?
100%.
And the fact that he's not going to be able to play next year because of these injuries just makes it that much more impressive for a team that had no business being in the final. We thought he brought them there, and oh my god, incredible.
100%. 100%.
But he waived his no movement clause. Does Seattle pick him up and put him on LTIR just to save him for a year and just be like, hey, welcome to Seattle, come join us?
I think the biggest thing for that is who else is exposed for like Montreal, right?
Of course. I was just saying as an example.
Are they going to protect Drouin, right? Drouin had that whole issue where he missed 3/4 of the season with I guess they called it a personal matter is what they called it. So does Montreal use a spot to protect him, or do they save somebody else, right? Because some of those guys in Montreal are exempt, so we'll see what happens there. But to me, if I'm Seattle, I would rather have a Ben Sherratt or something like that, who is going to play and is essentially a younger, light version of Weber. So,
Jake Allen's also available too, right?
True.
Because they have to protect Price.
Yeah.
Unless Price waives his no movement clause, and then that just throws an entire wrench into everything.
There's no chance to do that because then Seattle will take him.
I know, but I'm just saying, if he does for some crazy reason, that just throws an entire wrench. I'm not saying he will. I don't think he will. Yeah. But could you imagine that? Could you imagine Price waives his no movement clause?
I can't fathom it, to be honest. That's just one of those if that were to happen, it'd be okay, every other team is calling because clearly that means Price wants out. So it's all right, yeah, what do you want for him?
Yeah, well, they can't because the trade freeze is on. So he's Seattle's to take if they want him.
True.
Which is just, again, that's just craziness. We're not actually going to get I'm not saying that's a possibility at this point, but hey, crazier things have happened. Who do you think the biggest name is going to be taken by Seattle in the draft on the 21st? Weber is a big name. We've already talked about Bishop, obviously, is a big name, but neither of those guys are going to play. I mentioned Allen. I think he might be a good pick as either a starter or a backup, depending on who they pick from other teams. I know you were talking about Vanacek, and we'll get into the goalies after, but Vanacek might be taken from Washington, but I actually see TJ Oshie going from Washington. Just because you need a guy like that to help secure the forward position. So Oshie, Allen, big names there. Who do you
have? Biggest name I think is probably going to be PK Subban, especially with the Devils picking up Ryan Graves.
Not happy about that, by the way.
They got a great deal, to be honest. So, with them picking up Ryan Graves, it allows them expose PK Subban, get that $9 million cap hit off of their cap. So for the Devils, it just makes sense. For Seattle, it's a big name player. It's a guy you can put your first jersey on type of thing and have him be the poster boy, I guess what you could say. I mean, if they take Oshie with him being a local kid, they'll do that as well. But PK Subban will be right up there with names, and he'll be he's got a great personality, does well for the community. So it's one of those like, all right, he's worth it of a pick. Other
He's
big
still,
guys.
by the way, he's still doing great stuff for the Montreal community, and he hasn't been there for 4 or 5 years now.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, it's incredible. This guy is community based.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And we don't hear as much of what he's doing in New Jersey, and that's probably because it's New Jersey. But I'm sure he's doing wonders down there. So
absolutely.
Other big names, I guess, to me would be probably potentially the Lightning losing Yanni Gourde potentially. Big loss there, especially with what he's brought to that team. He's been the centerpiece of that third line. They're already losing Coleman for sure in the offseason because they don't have the cap. Losing Yanni Gourde and potentially Goudreau, you're losing that entire third line, which carried you through parts of that playoffs. So I look at that. Other than them, JVR and Dadonov potentially as different options there too. JVR is on the downswing of his career, but still will pot you 20 plus goals most likely. You just stick him in front of the net, and he does that for you. So
yeah.
I would have said Matt Dumba too, but with Suter waiving his no trade or with getting waived or bought out, I guess whatever.
Waived to be bought out.
Yeah. Now they can protect him. So
yeah. I was going to say that too. I was interested with that one when I heard the news because they're doing both Parise and Suter are getting waived, right, and bought out. That's a lot of cap to be bought out. Like,
yeah, I think it's like 6 point something million a year for the next 8 years they're paying them.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. I think they are in a lot of trouble after a really good year. That could put them back significantly moving forward.
100%. And then it's one of those, it frees them up some cap space this year, but they'll be hindered for the next couple of years. So,
yeah, like looking at it, it's 4.7 next year, so for this next season. After that, it's 12.7, and then 14.7, 14.7, and then it goes down to 1.6 for the 2 years after that, which is just crazy. Like,
so.
Yeah.
But yeah, a different aspect to me. I look at Vince Dunn.
Vince Dunn was one that I was looking at.
Young, intriguing player, has gotten some chance to prove himself, but not a whole lot. So he also, Seattle could potentially pick up Vince Dunn and go ahead and literally trade him too. So could be a trade piece as well to try and get maybe some picks, get some other players here. Who knows? Maybe they take on a bad contract, send off Vince Dunn, get a couple firsts and seconds or whatever it may be. So I think once the list finally comes out tomorrow, I think we might see a few surprise names too. You never know.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see, but those are definitely the players I think are going to be the most intriguing that I think are going to be left off. So
yeah. What about a Josh Bailey from the Islanders? He's a guy who it almost looked like he fell out of favor a little bit in Long Island this year. He's still a great top player. Like, I'm not going to deny that. He's the assistant captain on the team. But they have guys that they have to protect, and he doesn't look like he's going to be protected. Is he a guy who gets picked up by Seattle? We kind of talked about Nashville, Johansson, Duchesne. You and me talked about it off air. They could both be a good top 6 addition to this team, maybe a second-line center. I don't think either of them are first-line centers, as we've talked about numerous times, Kyle. I don't think either of them are actually a top-line center. But one of them is probably going from Nashville because I don't really see anybody else. But what about this one? And this is what I'm going to post you.
Yep.
Florida. Keith Yandel just waived his no movement clause. He is available in the expansion draft now.
I thought he got bought out.
Nope. He did not get bought out. He waived his no movement clause.
Um,
I believe. Last time I checked, he waived his no movement clause.
I'm just trying to think of who else would be available from Florida that they could.
Well, everyone was gonna say Drieger, but
I mean,
I'm
if you
sorry, they
compare,
did buy him out. Crap. Never mind. Ignore me. They did buy
I
him
was
out.
gonna,
I only
I was,
saw he got waived. So
because I was going to say if it is Drieger that you're potentially taking, that's a UFA. That's a very ballsy move. But they do have 2 days to, I believe, from Sunday to or Monday and Tuesday.
yeah,
They have 2 days to talk to the UFAs, RFAs, and all that kind of stuff, and have negotiating rights ahead of time. So potentially, if you're going to guarantee Drieger to be starting, and you say, "Hey, we're going to take these guys, these goalies, they'll be your backups, or they'll compete with you for a starting spot."
yeah.
Then,
There's no way they can guarantee anything until they see people actually play, right?
no, 100%. But it'd be one of those. Do they guarantee him a spot? Because otherwise, he's a UFA. He's not going to sign with them.
Yeah, I know exactly.
He'll go and sign with the team that can guarantee him being a starter. And I don't know if Drieger's ready to be a starter, but that's a different story. So, it'd be. I'm not sure where the certain players are going to go especially with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Maybe they take a young defenseman or a defenseman from Florida. Maybe they take a Radko Gudas, get some physicality on that team. Who knows?
Yeah, no, there's some interesting spots. I also am interested to see who they take from Colorado. I think it could be like a Jonas Donskoy now that they moved Graves, who would be a great addition to an expansion team. He's a hard-nosed player. Same with Carolina. I could see Warren Fogle or somebody like that going as well. Another just a tough kind of player, good third, possibly second line if you need him to jump up sort of thing.
Yep.
These guys aren't going to blow you away, but we didn't really expect Vegas to blow us away either. They were all second and third line guys who just exploded. Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting movement pieces that we're still waiting to see who will actually make it onto these lists. Mm-hmm. And I guess the big question now, Kyle, is who is the starting goalie for Game 1 of the Seattle Kraken franchise?
Oof. Putting me on the spot here.
Absolutely, I'm putting you on the spot.
I am going to say... I'm going to say Braden Holtby is what I'm going to say. Just because I don't think there's anybody else available for the Canucks that are even worth taking. Maybe a Zach McEwen, but is that even worth really a pick? Probably not. So I would say Holtby, as he'll be exposed to them protecting Demko. Unless Ben Bishop somehow gets healthy and he gets a clean bill of health before he's taken, I could see him potentially starting, but I'm going to go with Holtby as my guy. So.
Okay, I like that one. I am going to agree with you that Holtby's probably the Game 1 starter. Mm-hmm. But don't be surprised if you see a Malcolm Subban on this Seattle roster as well. Yep. Chicago doesn't have a whole lot that they can give up as in regards to players that I would be willing to take as well. Maybe Nikita Zadorov. But even that, I'm not 100% convinced that someone would take a shot at him. So could we see Malcolm Subban become the first player to be drafted by both?
I mean, potentially, yeah.
Right? Like he was drafted by Vegas, so is he going for the 3-peat or the 2-peat, I guess?
I mean, potentially you could talk about Fleury doing that too.
That one's less likely, though, in my mind.
No, I'm saying Fleury for this one, right?
I know. I still think that one's less likely in my mind. No, he can't be drafted. Vegas doesn't have a player get drafted.
Oh yeah, true. Right.
So no, he won't be unless he can't even be traded. He might end up in Seattle, but he can't be drafted both times.
See, I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't at all.
Like Vegas literally should lose somebody, especially based on how that team's going. But
I don't care. They've been in the league for 4 years now.
Yeah, they've been in the playoffs every year.
They've been in the not even that, but they've been in the league for 4 years. They've had 4 years of drafts. They've had 4 years to put their team together. You can stand to lose a player.
Yeah.
If it was the year after, no, you don't have to lose a player because that's not fair. You just had one draft and your expansion draft.
Yeah.
I get that. That's not fair. 4 years? You can stand to lose a player. I don't care. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
you're fine.
I don't know. But
You and me are on the same page for that though, so it's
100%.
not a big deal. Um, Looking ahead, are you excited for this draft, or do you even care?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the reason why I like it so much is just the wheeling and dealing. I
Yeah.
like it's the to me it's just exciting to see who actually gets picked, and then obviously once tomorrow happens, once everything's announced, who's actually available, then it's like okay, now it really starts. Now it's like all right, who's going to get taken? Now it makes it a little more real, I guess, is what you can say.
Yeah.
You know, up until once the list comes out, it's all speculation and oh well, this person might get exposed. This person, well, now we know who's exposed. So I'm definitely excited. I'll definitely be watching that for sure. So
Yeah, and if you want to catch what me and Ryan are thinking the roster will look like, we are doing our show tomorrow night.
yep,
After the rosters come out, we are doing an expansion draft, so that'll be a lot of fun.
that'll be good.
There'll be a lot of graphic makeup tomorrow for me once we figure out what the rosters look like. But we're gonna have some fun with that. So join us tomorrow night at 9:30. Hopefully, assuming that we're going on time, it's 9:30. Sometimes we have to push it a couple minutes, but 9:30 is the target.
Around
So
that.
join us
Yeah.
then. It would be a lot of fun. That'll do it for our kickoff segment, Kyle, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. Calling all kickers and punchers in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Daniel and Gabe are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you everything they've learned over the years. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. Also, huge shout out to Gabe, CFL training camps. Love seeing his Instagram. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, Kyle, but the Guelph Griffins did a picture of his locker with his jersey number and everything. And it makes me so happy because I've known this guy for so long. Like, me and
Yeah.
Gabe go way back. So it's so cool to see him having the success that he is and moving on to the next level. And hopefully he can continue to do that
Absolutely.
as far as we go. We're going to take another quick break here. After the break, Kyle, we're going to talk some Olympics. We haven't actually talked Olympics since you and me have been doing this show. Did you know that?
No, no.
Yeah, we have not talked Olympics. So we get to talk some Olympics. And we'll do all that when we come back.
Hey everyone, this is Irfan Manji from Touchline Thoughts. We are an all-soccer podcast hosted by yours truly with guests every episode. We provide news, analysis, and opinions every episode as well. Touchline Thoughts is powered by the Garage Door Sports Network, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcatcher. Cheers.
All right, we are back. Seattle Expansion Draft. Done. We covered that.
Yep.
Now we get to move on to something that we have not talked about on the show, and it is the Olympics. And I'm super excited that we get to talk about this because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to start off with the biggest question that is always on everyone's mind, Kyle, and it's the easiest one to ask.
Yep.
What are you most excited about watching? What event, any individual athlete that you're super excited about watching, any team sport that you're super excited about watching?
I mean, personally, it'd be me. To me, the rugby sevens is always interesting to watch. That's my kind of go-to. It's my type of sport that I like to watch. I'm not exactly a trampolinist person to watch that kind of stuff. That's not my thing.
Oh, come on, Rosie.
No, not happening. But yeah, I would say rugby sevens. Maybe a little women's basketball, women's soccer, that kind of stuff. Honestly, I would really only watch stuff that Canada's kind of in, but that's just me personally. The men's soccer should be good as well, but we'll see how that goes. Not sure if it's going to be very similar rosters to the Euro or what's
It's under 23s.
Oh, okay.
So I think you're allowed to have 2 players over the age of 23, but everyone else has to be under 23. So it's a young roster.
So that would make things interesting and make things see how they go, see how some countries develop their players. So, but I would say definitely the most one that I will watch would be the rugby sevens. So
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, and that rugby sevens is so much fun to watch. It is an underrated sport, rugby. Period, and
100%.
people really need to take a chance and watch that. I'm really excited to. Obviously, we don't see it very often, but the track and field stuff is always fun to watch for me. Like the 100 meter, the 200 meter. I love watching the hurdles because those people are freak athletes running a 10-second 100 meter with jumping over things at the same time. It's just incredible to me. I love it. I also like some of the swimming events. Like Canada has one of the top swimmers in the world in Kylie Mass right now. Really want to see how well she does in her event. She's projected to get a gold medal, and we're going to talk about Canada and medal predictions and all that fun stuff. But she's projected to get a couple medals, actually. But she's projected to get a gold in the 100 meter backstroke. I want to see how well she does. I got to watch her compete in university when during the provincials, the OUA finals and stuff like that. And that was just ridiculously cool to watch. There's going to be some interesting team stuff for Canada, too, like beach volleyball. The women are ridiculously good, the pair of them, and they're projected to make to medal. Andre DeGrasse, obviously, we talked about him in previous events. He's projected to get a medal in the 200 meter, possibly 100, but more realistically 200 because that's his event. But I want to talk about this, and this is something, obviously, we're going to be a little biased here because we are Canadian. We follow Canadian sports. Canada's only projected for 4 gold medals, Kyle, and right now projected 21 medals overall.
Yep.
I get that it's the Summer Olympics. But does that number seem low to you, either the 4 or the 21? To me, it just seems low. And I know it's summer, so I get that. We're not the best at the Summer Olympics. We excel at the Winter Olympics, and we're competing near the top for the number of gold medals. But 21 medals for our largest contingent ever. I think it's 200 and something people going. What is it?
350 total, 224 women or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not even close. 300, almost 350 going. It's our largest summer contingent.
A lot of those are teams, right? So you have the rugby sevens teams,
but still.
I mean, the only one I would say would be low would potentially be the total medals. The gold medals were in more tough, right? Like,
well, yeah.
Like Mass should win a gold. I mean, you got Penny too, who potentially could be up there as well.
Who's actually not projected to win anything.
Yeah. Andre DeGrasse will be in tough. Obviously, he's competing with the best in the world, so he's in tough to actually win a gold, but he should win a medal depending on how things shape out.
Of course.
So I mean, it's I would say the total medals would be a little bit should be a little bit higher, but I mean, you never know. It shows the competition that's at the Olympics. It's nothing's guaranteed to be a medal, right? So,
and we also we have to make it very clear. These are projected medals. Doesn't mean that this is actually how it's going to end up. Canada's not guaranteed to get 21 medals. We could end up with 5, or we could end up with 50. Like, things could go crazy, and we could end up with a ridiculous number. It just seems like a low number for me.
Yep.
And I keep saying I know it's the Summer Olympics, but we're such a diverse country. Like, we should be able to put together a decent roster of people going to the Olympics.
Yeah, you would think, like we're going to get disappointed in tennis because, 2 of our potential medal hopefuls, I guess, opted out, right? So there's been some Olympians that have opted out, obviously, with the whole COVID thing, and apparently this morning there was a scare in Tokyo with positive tests and stuff as well. So, I mean, it's one of those. Is competing going to be on the top of their mind potentially? Is COVID going to be on the top of mind some people and potentially, fake them out a little bit? Who knows, right?
I think it's a good thing to ask, and I think the biggest thing for me is that before they step foot in the arena that they're competing in, COVID will be all over their mind. These people will probably be hidden in their rooms. I know it's the Olympics, so the Olympic Village is its own beast, and I don't want to pretend like we know what happens in the Olympic Village because I'm gonna go with craziness.
Yeah, there's been a few
There's been some stories told,
a few stories.
but let's just focus on the actual event. I think once they step foot in their venue,
Yep.
after the change room, after they do their testing, and they're actually in the venue. So for these swimmers, they're on the pool deck. For the athletics people, they're on the track or they're in the middle of the track doing their field stuff, right? For the soccer players and the rugby players and the baseball players, when they touch the field, right? They will be super focused on the event. Outside of that, COVID will be through their mind the whole time. And that's the biggest concern. And I get what you're saying. So we could see athletes from other countries have that problem too. We could see athletes not make it to their event as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Not because they're like super sick or anything, but as soon as you test positive, you're pretty much done. The Olympics are a 17-day event. That's it. That's all you get.
And you have to quarantine for 14 days or 10 days, whatever it ends up being. But
right? Like, thankfully, I think a lot of the athletes are there already.
Yep.
I would assume most of the athletes are there already. So if they have tested positive, that gives them a week and a half, basically, head start. But if you don't test negative twice, you're done.
Yeah.
You have to test negative twice.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Like that. This is something that has never happened at an Olympic before. We have never had to deal with this. So we could see teams, we could see athletes just drop out because they can't participate.
Yeah, and it's scary to think, like, yes, there's the vaccines and stuff like that, but there's always a chance you can still get it. It doesn't mean you're immune to it. That's the biggest thing. So and even if it's on their mind or whatever, like if I'm a person in that's staying in Tokyo, I'd be like, wouldn't be going out anywhere right now. And that's just, it's sad to say because Tokyo is an amazing place and would be a place to travel and go see things once you're done your event, right? It's like you could be done your event 2 days in, and all of a sudden now you have 2 weeks to go do whatever you want. But at the same point, now
it's under emergency protocols in Tokyo right now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like one of those and it's a sad reality because you can't do anything. So it's like it's unfortunate, but I mean, it'll be in the back of people's minds for sure. So
absolutely, and I mean, we could talk about this. Like, do you think the game should be going on when there's an emergency protocol going on in Tokyo? Like, that's a whole nother thing. But and I mean, your opinion, Kyle. Quickly, we don't have to get too deep into it. What do you think? Do you think they should be doing it with an emergency protocol in Tokyo right now?
I personally say no, but I mean, there's gonna be lots of people that are against that point of view. So, I mean, we got to do it every 4 years. Well, we canceled it last year and pushed it back to this year. So, I mean, I say no, but that's just me.
No, and I get that these athletes have been working their entire lives to get here, and some of them only get one chance just based on age stuff and only being able to qualify once. It sucks. I get it, but we're still at the end of the pandemic. It's not over.
Yep.
Like, we're opening up in Canada, and I'm still concerned.
Yeah.
And I'm double vaxxed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I'm immune, as you said. Like, double vax basically means that you can't get it as severe as you would have got it if you got it without the vaccine.
Yeah.
That's all it means. I can still get it. I'm terrified that people are going to do stupid stuff in public just because I've seen people do stupid stuff in public.
Well, people are going to do stupid stuff. That's because that's people.
It's human. Stupid. It's human nature to do stupid shit.
Yep.
So there's all the questions about like moms, right? Not being able to bring their kids, like athlete moms, not being able to bring their kids to the games.
Yep.
Some of them are really young, like Morgan from the U.S. women's soccer team. Her daughter's not even 2, not even 1, maybe.
Yeah.
She's not allowed to bring her. Right? It's that kind of stuff that it's just like, okay, well, that kind of puts up a red flag to me that says we probably shouldn't be doing this event.
Yeah, I mean, like I get why the kids aren't allowed. I understand that part.
No, I get it, but
But yeah, no, it's one of those. Like, if that's the case, then why are athletes even doing this in general? But
yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
And I'm seeing like a bunch of people, a bunch of like reporters are going over, and they're like, "Yep, on my way today. Got to
yeah,
make sure I test negative twice as soon as I get there." It's like, oh, God, like that sounds awful to me. Traveling just to get tested.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is, and it's going to be how it's going to be for the next little while. If you're traveling anywhere, you're gonna have to get tested no matter what. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those. As a reporter, if you were to test positive, now all of a sudden your I guess the news. What do I call it? That's it. Yeah. Like all of
Gotcha.
a sudden now you have to send somebody else. Like can't send them because you gotta they tested positive. Now you gotta send somebody else. You gotta make
Well,
them.
no, I think there's going to be a lot of virtual stuff still too.
Yeah.
Like I know they want people on the ground, and I get that.
Yeah.
It's better to have a reporter on the ground talking to people personally, but
Yeah.
there's still going to be Zoom conference
Oh,
calls
of
and
course.
stuff like that. There has to be.
But I mean, like if you want somebody on the ground, then all of a sudden it's hey, we gotta send somebody else. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So
Well, they might not be able to. A lot of them.
yeah.
It'll be interesting. Let's get back into the games. We've
Yep.
kind of harshed the mellow a little bit. Let's get into something that's even more harsh for the USA basketball team. They're struggling, dude. They are really not doing well going into the Olympics. Is that a concern for USA basketball? Like they've lost to some decent competition. Nigeria was a surprise. Australia is a good team. Not a great team, but a good team. Is that a
Yep.
concern heading into the Olympics for you?
I mean, yes, no, not really. Like I still have the most talent on the teams by far. It's not even close. Um, I mean, I'm not really sure about the two players that replaced Beal and Love. I don't really understand that whole part, but
What, JaVale McGee and Keldon Johnson?
yeah, not sure about that. But I mean, I still trust them enough to win it all. Like, yeah, I barring some miraculous upsets in the actual Olympics, I don't see it happening. So, um, this is by far their best team or their worst team in a while that they've actually sent to the Olympics. But even their worst team is still better than 99% of the other teams out there. So, I mean, watch out for Australia. I think they are definitely a team to watch. Um, they will be an interesting team that potentially could go all the way. We'll see what happens, but um, they're definitely a team to watch in my mind. So,
Yeah, I could see Australia doing really, really well. Keep an eye on Nigeria too. I think they're going to surprise teams. I don't think that they're going to be like world beaters and go all the way, but
yeah,
they're in a group with Australia, Germany, and Italy. Don't be surprised if they might finish second
yeah,
in that group, just because they play hard. They do not give anything up. They lost to Australia big in their last game in like pre-tournament stuff, but
yeah.
still, I have faith. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Argentina struggles. They got an interesting group with Japan, Slovenia, and Spain.
Yeah.
They did not look good against the States. And I know the States were angry after losing 2 games, but they did not look good. And I would be very surprised if Argentina comes out of that group unscathed. If they come out of that group at all.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a possibility they don't get out at all. That's the real question. So
Right?
it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. So,
They lost to Nigeria 94-71. They lost to Australia, and they got blown out by the States by 28 points.
yeah,
In their 3 pre-tournament games. Like that's a concern to me. If I'm the Argentinian fan base, like they do not look good going into the tournament.
mm-hmm.
Scola is old.
Yeah,
As much as he was fun to watch, he's old. It's not good enough anymore. There's not a whole lot of top end talent on that team to begin with. Like,
no.
I honestly I can't name another player on that team.
I don't even know what the actual roster is.
Like,
so
I'll read out the roster. You tell me how many of these guys you actually know. Marcos
Yeah.
Delia, Patricio Garino, Scola, Facundo Campasso, sorry, Nicholas Brusino, Leandro Bolmaro, Francisco Cafaro, Gabriel Deck, Lotaro Berra, Luca Vildoza, Maximo Fellerup, 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 I don't know, Juan Pablo Valuet, N. Lapro Vitola, and Tayavek Galisi.
Okay.
Did you recognize any name from that list?
Nope.
Like, that's concerning to me.
Oh, 100%. It's one of the, like, I just, that's, yeah, I don't really know any of them. So maybe they're great. Maybe they're great over in Europe. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I just don't recognize them, which is weird. Like, I remember Argentina used to be a top team all the time.
for sure.
They don't strike me as a top team right now. So, yeah, I guess that's it. So, any other thing you want to talk about the Olympics before we get to the final thoughts for this week, Kyle?
I'm just kind of hoping that Canada shows up and does well. You know, I mean, they're not known for the Summer Olympics, but I'm kind of hoping that they do beat the 21 medal projection that they're projecting for them. So let's hope that happens.
I forgot to say an event I'm super excited to watch, by the way. Skateboarding is in the Olympics, dude.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to watch this. Obviously, like, you know, my brother is a huge skateboarder. Anyone who knows my brother knows that he's big into skateboarding.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this. Also because I know a lot of the background from him, because he knows a lot of the people that compete in these events.
Yep.
And some of the background stuff is hilarious to listen to, and I will fill you in on Kyle at some point. This is stuff that I would not say on air.
Oh, 100%.
But it's going to be interesting to see how they put it all together. And there's a lot of controversy around this, and the skateboarding community as a whole is very reserved about putting skateboarding in the Olympics because they don't want it to go too commercial, if that makes sense. Like, skateboarding is a community, and it always has been. They're worried that in the Olympics it's just going to go commercial and everyone's going to try skateboarding and it's going to ruin the community vibe of it.
Right.
Which I get. I kind of understand where they're coming from in that. But
Yeah.
they also want to grow the popularity, so they want it to be visible, and the Olympics is a great opportunity for that. So they're kind of torn. The whole community is kind of torn.
Right.
So it will be interesting to see how they put that together. Also, folks, good luck trying to watch it in North America because you're going to be staying up late.
Yeah.
With the games in Tokyo, 13-hour time difference. The regular time slot will be from, roughly 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m. over in Tokyo.
Yep.
To 10 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah. It's, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I will be watching them all.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I'll be watching the second half of every day. I'll be
Yeah.
sleeping through the first half, trying to get enough sleep, but I will be doing some stuff with CBC for the Olympics, which is awesome. All right, Kyle. We are at the end of the show. It's a short show today, folks.
Tis. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still 45 minutes, but it's a short show.
I mean, yeah.
Final thought for the week, my man.
Final thought. Shohei Ohtani giving the 150K prize to the Angels staff. I mean, 150K or whatever for doing it. Give it that.
For the Derby.
Yeah, for the Derby, as well as all the All-Star Game jerseys being sold to charity. Ohtani was 70
Hold on.
higher than.
Hold on. Let's go through some of the numbers. Fernando Tatis was 2,500 last time I checked. Vladdy was 2,000.
Yeah.
The next highest was like 900.
Mm-hmm.
So big drop off from there. Ohtani, last time I looked at the number, this was yesterday morning.
Yeah.
$111,000. 45 times Fernando Tatis. That's messed up.
Yeah. and it's just like it just shows the year he's having, and just it's outstanding to watch, and it's great for that. So the fact that his stuff is selling that high is just mind-boggling. So I mean, all the power to him. I hope him and Vlad have a great race to see who ends up being the MVP, um, and we'll see if we go from there. So
Yeah, and
uh,
a lot of people are, I think, sleeping on Vladdy because of what Otani's doing.
yep.
But Vladdy came out very, very angrily after the All-Star game and hit 2 home runs last night. I say that joking, Vlad. I don't think Vlad has an angry bone in his body. The guy is the happiest kid in the world.
100%.
And you love to see. Those are the kind of athletes. Him and Otani are both just happy people. Those are the kind of athletes you want to market.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's easy to market a guy who's happy. Everyone wants to be happy.
And honestly, if these two go back and forth for the next little bit, in especially even years to come too, it's one of those. I don't think anybody's gonna have a problem with either one of them winning an MVP. Like nobody's gonna complain about, you know, no offense to Bryce Harper, but not a lot of people like Bryce Harper. If Bryce Harper won an MVP, people will be like, whatever. I don't really think there's a whole lot of people that don't like Otani or Vlad because there's not a whole lot to not like about them. So
No, that's exactly what it is. Right?
so
That's nailed it on the head there, Kyle.
yeah. So it's one of those. If they can compete for years to come, it'll be a very interesting race for sure. So,
Yeah. I'm super excited to watch to see who ends up winning the MVP this year between these two, just because Otani is doing incredible things,
yep.
but Vlad's on another level at hitting.
Yep.
Otani might have more home runs, but overall hitting ability, Vlad is just on a whole nother level than pretty much everyone in the league right now, which is ridiculous because he's in his 3rd season.
Yep.
It's incredible to watch. Quickly before we
Yep.
move on to my final thought, what did you make of Stephen A. Smith's comments about MLB's top player not being able to speak English? I'm curious because I think it's crazy, but
Because he's a moron. Stephen A. Smith is one of the worst reporters ever. That's just a story of there. Um,
I actually don't agree with that statement.
well,
Stephen A. Smith does hunt for hot button
yeah,
issues sometimes.
yeah.
He's not the worst reporter. He's actually, when he knows his stuff, he's actually a good reporter. This
No,
was a ridiculous
when
comment.
I'm saying the worst, I don't actually mean the worst. It's like it's one of those like I just don't like him.
That's
It's
fair.
simple as that. And it was one of those. You can't make that comment just because he focuses more on basketball and all the basketball players can speak English. Doesn't mean you can make a comment about other things. Like it'd be like an MVP in the NHL who maybe comes over from Russia, doesn't speak a whole lot of English,
Russia, Sweden, or something like that. Yeah.
whatever it may be. Right, and you can't make that comment. If they're the best player in the league, they're the best player in the league. You can't deny that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they don't speak English or not. Like,
Well,
sorry,
he was saying it was marketability that would be the biggest issue. I'm sorry, you could market either of him or Vlad. Neither of them speak great English.
Yeah.
Vlad has an interpreter as well.
100%.
I would have no problem using either of those guys in a marketing campaign.
Mhm.
Because
So,
we just said
I
it,
mean-
they both love the game.
It's if you're good at the game and you enjoy playing it, and you're the best in the league, you can't say anything. Like,
No,
it's
exactly.
sorry.
Exactly. So, it was just something I was curious about because we didn't get to talk about it last week because obviously you weren't here.
Yeah.
We will have to get you and Irfan on the same show at some point.
Mhm.
Get lots
sure.
of different thoughts. My final thought for this week. Get ready, folks. There's a lot coming your way. Seattle Expansion Draft happens on the 21st. The Olympics technically start the 21st, but the opening ceremony is the 23rd.
Right.
The events that are held the first 2 days are not televised, but you can find them streaming. So if you're curious and want to watch, there's some soccer matches and some softball matches. They're available. Go give them a watch. It'll be entertaining still.
Yep.
NHL draft is the week after, I believe. When is the NHL draft?
I think so.
Let's check. NHL draft is July 23rd to 24th. So Friday, Saturday. So there you go. Even more stuff going on then. There's so much going on this week. My head almost hurts that there's so much going on this week in the sporting world. So keep your eyes peeled. We will try to bring you as much as we can across the network between all of our shows. Make sure you check them out. Betting House is killing it. Obviously, you guys have gone through a little bit of a change here, but you guys are doing great stuff there. Irfan over with Touchline Thoughts with Paige, who we mentioned signed. She's now doing fitness testing already for next season. Don't miss fitness testing, eh, Kyle?
Not at all. Not at all.
And me and Ryan over at 20 minutes, we're holding down the fort for you guys. So just keep everything locked. We got you covered, and we'll make sure we bring you more up-to-date sports as they come. For now, we are going to say goodbye. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time.